the baddest. We're back on People Talking Sports with the great Bill Laimbeer. Thank you. Why do you laugh when I say great?
Great.
Do you not believe
regular
it?
Guy.
Well, a regular guy, I couldn't do what you did in the paint, you know? I mean, you're not that regular.
Well, yeah. I'm just a big, giant guy that happened to be a little bit successful.
Well, I mean, I guess that's probably the attitude that made your team great, that blue-collar attitude of, you know, I'm just a regular guy. But, I mean, do you try to instill that on your team? Do you try to pass it on to the Liberty?
You know, when I was in Detroit playing, we had a chip on our shoulder. We weren't the most talented people around. You know, Isaiah Thomas was very good and very talented, but the rest of us are role players. And we went out and just did all the dirty work necessary to win games, and that's how you play. And hopefully our team we have at Liberty right now is able to instill that in them and be successful also.
Do you feel, I mean, you're in third in the East right now, you're 15-12. You've had some injuries. I mean, how do you adapt?
Injuries are part of the game. Everybody has them over the course of time. You have to work your way through it. We have enough depth that we can, you know, get a good shot at this thing. It's a matter of it's a team come together at the right time in the right place.
Do you see any of yourself in someone like Tina Charles?
No, Tina Charles is much talented than I ever was. I see in her the competitiveness of wanting to win and a burning desire to win. But she's very, very talented. I mean, she's arguably the best post player in the world. I was never that way. I was just a role player and did my job. But having a player like Tina gives you a chance to win every game. That's
true. But you say you're a role player, but there are years you average close to 20 a game, 13 boards. You know what? I was looking up your stats, and one of the crazy things to me about your numbers is how many seasons you played 82 games.
Right. I played a lot of games.
That's crazy.
I would have broken the record for most games in a row, except for suspensions. So.
What? Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, that was like part of your game. Is like,
yeah, I was the physical player out there that sometimes caused problems for other teams. They didn't like it, and you know what happens. It's an emotional, physical game, and tempers flare, especially when you get in really heated competition. And you know, incidents happen. It's part of the game.
Do you feel like that style of game is kind of lost? Because, I mean, you and Mahorn in the post, I can't think of a team with a 4-5 like that.
You know, every generation, it changes, it evolves, and it depends on what the league wants. In the 80s, it was very, very competitive. The sport was growing up dramatically. No players changed teams, so there was actual hatred amongst franchises. So it was very emotional and very physical. As the end of the 80s came along and the end of the 90s, the league started legislating some of the way the physicality away. They wanted to see the court open up and high flyers like Michael Jordan and the new players coming in had the freedom to do whatever they wanted to. So they started making the physicality go away. And it's evolved all along. So now it's just like run up and down the court, and if you breathe on somebody, it's a flagrant foul.
So, I mean, do you kind of feel partially responsible for making Jordan great? Because he couldn't get by you guys.
Well, we couldn't get by the Boston Celtics for a long time,
that's
too.
True. But that's how it goes in the NBA. The torch is kind of passed.
You have to learn, and it takes mental toughness. And one thing that Boston taught us was the mental toughness part. And we beat our head on that wall for 3 or 4 years in a row with some brutal, horrifying losses, but we still persevered. So, you know, we'd like to break through sooner than that, obviously, but we never gave up. And I think that's the biggest trademark of our team in that time slot was we went through a lot of hard knocks and eventually broke through and were successful with a bunch of guys who just all believed in each other and made it happen.
So that team, it was so fierce, the competition. Are you cool with Bird now? Are you cool with McHale now? Do you talk to them at all?
McHale is okay because he's just a, hey, whatever, dude. You know, but the really intense mental competitors never really get over each other a long time. You know, Bird and I wouldn't speak to her walking down the street, no. Jordan a little bit maybe, but, you know, not Bird.
Wow. So, I mean, the video of that hit you hit on Bird when he went down in the playoffs.
That was an accident. It really was, but nobody believes it.
That was to see the anger in him, and then 2 games later, Parrish retaliates with a forearm to your head.
Right.
Could you just talk? It happened.
Yeah, I expected it. You know, what are they going to do? Sit there and do nothing? So. It's part of the game, so just keep on playing. And the goal was to win the series and see what happens. And the bottom line is, whatever happens in the game, whatever happens off the court, is winning the basketball game. That's all that matters.
When you're in the front court with Rodman and Mahorn, who is your favorite guy to mess with?
You mean in the opposing team?
Sure, yeah.
I don't think they're always the best player. You always want to, find a way to stop the best player. And like when we were playing against Jordan, every time Jordan came in the lane, 3 people went over there and knocked him on his ass, because he had, the best player, you have to make them either afraid or they want to pass the ball to somebody else who's not as good or not going to make the shot. So if you try to make them do something they don't normally do, whatever the cost.
Well, I mean, when did you see that Jordan? I mean, because the year they finally beat you, you had taken him down a few years in a row, and when he finally beat you, what did you see in him that you didn't see in previous years?
We'll use this. We got old. We were a little banged up.
Yeah.
But give them credit. It was their time then. We were just at the very. It's like Boston. When Boston got old and they got beat up, and we took up that slack. And Chicago did the same thing to us. And Jordan had to learn to involve his teammates. I mean, he was 50 points a game, but they lost. Then he gets 45 points a game, and they lost. So he had to learn to trust his teammates. They had to get better teammates too.
Right.
So they got some better teammates. He trusted them, and they became a better team.
Do you see any modern players that remind you of how you played when you watch?
I don't. Well, the physicality of the game is gone. I like to think myself and our team was very cerebral in how we played. We took no plays off. We were very exacting. And the championship teams do that. Look at LeBron. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
No.
And his team doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And the championship teams do that. They're very focused. They're very locked in. They have very smart players, and they make it happen. I mean, they may not be the most talented team. Cleveland wasn't the most talented team.
Yeah.
This past couple of years.
You think more talented than the Warriors?
No, Warriors are more talented across the board, but Cavaliers have LeBron James.
Right.
He's the best there is.
Yeah. Do you think he's better than Jordan?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
He's 6'8", 285, runs like the wind, jumps out of the gym. And from the moment he walked in the league, his teams won. He made their teammates better, and his teams competed for the championship from day one he walked into this league. That says something about the individual.
Yeah. When your second best player is Mo Williams and you're in the finals.
Yeah, he's
good.
pretty good.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us. We look forward to talking to you on panel as well.
Okay.
Bill Laimbeer. Stick around on People Talking Sports coming up next.